my sins away. Covenants he made with me. I'm anxious, I'm ready to go the day before. I'm excited to hurry up and get my garment out the door. It's a choice occasion to kind.
Fly through the air as I head to fulfill my purpose. To shake the whole earth with a boom when I hit the surface. They trembling nervous. They know I'm coming for certain. To murder all these niggas, devour all of these serpents. I patiently waited to turn up with fervent heat now that I'm activated. I'ma blow cause it's World War III. I hear you weeping. You're mourning. Your nationality. Hiroshima and Nagasaki ain't got nothing on me. I was raised by chemists. I was made for the judgment. Don't be testing my limits. Don't be pushing my buttons. In the Bible, they call me flame and rebuke. And you know that that's the truth. But my homies call me nuke. I was sent here to destroy pleasures of sin. In the day of darkness, even darker than when the day began. Annihilation, no time for evacuations. When these warheads split, it look worse than decapitations. Repented dies, it's genocide or it's genocide. You can't hide if you get left when the saints rise. The wicked looking in the sky, and all they can do is cry. And they already know why, cause it's judgment.
Gave up sin and started living righteous. It's who I am, I knew I couldn't fight this. When Christ come back, there's gonna be some mourning. You never know, this song could be your final warning. Judgment day, judgment day. When they crack the sky, judgment day, judgment day. Repent or die, judgment day. You say only God can judge me. Well, trust me, you don't wanna see judgment day. And there'll be no more crying now. So stop all your whining now.
Sheesh! My people going to war. We bringing out the fire. Those heathens we ignore. Cause we know that they're liars. I'm reading in the news. We reading in the news. They reading in the news.
You're listening to In the Scripts Reloaded.
Shalom, brothers. Shalom, sisters. Most High in Christ bless. It's also Lemuel.
Bless.
Y'all are tuning in the Scripts Reloaded. All praise to the Most High. Who I got on my right?
Officer Yaakov. Shema Judah.
All praises to the Most High. So we back another Tuesday. Y'all gotta forgive me. Feeling a little bit. Feeling a little something.
I hear it.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Kind of nervous. Send prayers up on your bro, because I don't want that,
Don't be nervous,
that virus going on.
Hey, just read Psalms 91. You're going to be all right.
All right.
All right.
Hey, plus, remember, you're not seeing the cases happen in our community.
Nope.
That's right.
Nope.
That's right.
Funny enough, my manager, he was talking about go to the doctor, go get checked up or whatever, which ain't nothing, nothing major going on with me, nothing like that, just congestion or whatever. But he was like, make sure you go get the COVA-19, something like that. The corona thing. And I'm wanting to. I work from home, so I didn't see him because he got sick too. But I wanted to hit him back. Like, bro, what the hell's wrong with you?
Boy, if you don't
ain't seen no black people.
Boy, if you don't get
Hey, play it again.
Hit it again.
Hit it again.
Okay.
Oh,
boy, if you don't get yeah, that's it. There you go.
Yeah, man. So I ain't got nothing to worry about, man. Just got
all praise.
Okay,
all praises.
Just take care of myself, take care of my health, all the good stuff.
Yeah,
Life
you
is gonna get me
solid.
right.
You
She
solid.
made some.
You doing backflips. and
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
So what we got today, Officer Yakub? I'm gonna let you
Hey,
take it away.
Today's show is called From Black History to Heathen Hellenistic Helladays. And what we're doing is we're showing the transition from a time when we used to be warriors, when we used to be revolutionary minded,
Right.
when we would stand up and fight for our people on their holidays, telling them we wasn't gonna do them, to now being docile and weak and not even celebrating our own history
Wow.
and just walking in the ways of the heathen.
And speaking of that, what a beautiful day for this topic to come out. Happy New Year, Israel.
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
That's right.
That's right.
Our first new moon of the year, and then another 14 days from now, 14 days of sundown, we'll be celebrating
Passover.
our holiday,
Our
our
holiday.
holy day.
That's right.
That's right.
Being Passover. So all praise to the Most High for
That's
that.
right.
Mhm.
Our first Memorial Day of the year.
Yeah.
man.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's
And
right.
it's a beautiful day outside. No snow. It's nice and sunny. It's
Right,
warm, like
right.
a beautiful spring day.
Yeah.
Esau called it a super moon last night because it was
Right.
like 7% brighter than all the other
Right.
moons in times
Right.
past. So, hey, they know what it is.
Did y'all see the chariot?
No.
No.
Uh-uh.
So, Officer Yahalom, I gotta show you.
Again.
I'll show you the video.
Huh? Okay.
I'll show you the video, and it was dancing and changing the colors
All praises. All praises.
Last night?
last night.
Wow.
Yes.
All praises.
I missed that.
Last night it was in the sky. It was an amazing thing to see.
Who
Hey,
recorded it? Yeah.
Officer
Officer
Yahalom
Yahalom did.
Yeah.
All
he didn't
praises.
post it, did he?
Yeah.
No, I ain't see it. I ain't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Keeping the secrets to himself.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll show you. I'll show you.
All
I'll
right.
send it to you.
We see you, Officer Yahalom. We see you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right, so starting off, man. First, we want to go into the history of this holiday, not a holiday. This holiday
Mhm.
that's known as Easter. That's about to come up. We skipped over to St. Patrick's Day, the green hair and green beer. So we wanted to go with Easter, and it's widely celebrated. And most people don't know that the early pronunciation of this day was Ishtar, and it had to do with an Eastern Indian or an Eastern Hemisphere or Indian or Persian
Mm-hmm.
goddess by the name of Ishtar. Raise that up a little bit. Scroll up, and this is her. If you look, she's the goddess of fertility. Scroll it up a little bit so we can read the words at the bottom. Easter was originally the celebration of Ishtar, the Assyrian and Babylonian goddess of fertility and sex. Her symbols, like the egg and the bunny, were and still are fertility and sex symbols. Or do you actually think eggs and bunnies had anything to do with the resurrection?
Notice how it says was. Scroll back up just a taste. Just a taste. Let me see the other red. Scroll back. I may not be able to hear me. Scroll back up just a little bit. It says her symbol.
Yeah, her symbols.
Like the egg and the bunny,
Uh-huh.
were and still.
Uh-huh.
And still.
And still.
Nothing changed.
Nothing
Nothing.
changed.
Nothing changed.
Right.
All fertility and sex symbols.
Come on, man.
Yeah, nah, you good. You good. I'll read for you. I got you. So they were and still are fertility and sex symbols. So that means that when you're dressing your kids up on these days, putting on your nice pastel colors, and you're going to church and y'all are dipping eggs and doing all of this that you're doing, what you secretly are doing is sacrificing your children to a sex goddess.
Mm.
You are sacrificing your children to a sex goddess. Or did you actually think that eggs and bunnies had anything to do with the resurrection of Christ?
That's what you call us. That's what the scriptures call a strong delusion.
Strong delusion.
Strong delusion.
And in fact, officer, that's one of the 10 commandments. Let's get it real quick.
Right.
That's one of the big 10.
Yes, sir.
One of the big 10.
That's one of the ones Creflo said, if we want to have any connection to God, then we shouldn't even deal with those.
Not even the 10. Not even the
Big 10. Sheesh. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Not Easter, not Astaroth, not none of those gods with those
Right.
different kind of names.
Right.
That means you putting another God before the Most High God, because the Most High
Absolutely.
God told us to celebrate Passover,
Right.
not
Right.
Easter.
Right.
Not Easter.
Absolutely. There's another God that's involved in it, and we'll speak about him later when you're dealing with the heathen custom of Lent.
Mm.
You know, that's going into Tammuz.
Tammuz.
Yeah, that's going into Tammuz at the gates. That's spoken of in Ezekiel. So yeah, we'll deal with that.
I don't see why people put that ash, especially if you're a Judite, putting ash on your forehead. You can't even see it if you're dark. That's how you know it's for the other nations.
Hey, we don't even like people touching our skin.
Right.
We're gonna put some ash on my face.
Put some ash on you. Come on. Come on now, dog.
Right. Come on now.
Come on, man.
All right. After Constantine decided to Christianize the empire.
Constantine.
Scroll up. Come on, y'all. Come on.
Constantine.
After Constantine decided to Christianize the empire, Easter was changed to represent Jesus. But at its roots is all about celebration, fertility, and sex.
Celebration of fertility and sex. Yeah, take it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. And actually, you know what? Before we get to that, hey, Officer Shema, if you will, give me Acts chapter 12.
You want Acts 12?
Yes, sir. Acts chapter 12, verse number 3 and 4.
This is the book. Go ahead.
Real quick. So we're looking at that's the beginning history for Easter, right? So now what you get is those you get the theologians, the so-called scholars,
right,
who will say that Easter and Passover are the same thing. That's not what the Bible say. Let's read that.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 12 and verse 3. And because he saw it pleased the Jews,
So what we're seeing here is Herod the king. Herod, which is an Idumean, which is the Roman Greco name for Edom, an Edomite, today that would be known as the so-called white man. He started killing off the other apostles after Christ, right? So he's already killed James, and in this verse, now he's thinking to take another one of the apostles. Start there from the top again.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 12 and verse 3.
And
because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also.
So now he wants to take Peter, right? Read.
Then were the days of unleavened bread.
So in the time that he thought to take Peter to kill him was during the time of unleavened bread, which we know in the Bible, Exodus chapter 12, is the feast of Passover.
That's right.
So this is the same time frame as Passover, but let's see what happens in the next verse. Read.
And when he apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to the quarters and the quadrums of soldiers to keep him, intended after Easter.
After when?
After Easter, to bring him forth to the people.
So the Romans and the Greeks were celebrating something called Easter, which is Ishtar. But it lined up around the same time as the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So he didn't slay Peter because it was going to disturb his holiday.
Easter.
Because had it not been for Easter, he would have killed Peter on our feast day, which is unleavened bread.
That's why it differentiates the two. It says, it didn't say Easter throughout the entire thing.
Right.
It said Feast of Unleavened Bread first, and then Easter thereafter.
Yes, sir.
That's how you know that there's a difference.
Right. So one of the things most of us don't know, during the history of our people being enslaved, the diaspora, there have been many rebellions where we fought for our freedom. Even here in America, now not so much so in America because we didn't fight for freedom. Even today, we're not fighting to be free. We're fighting to be liberated.
Exactly.
We're fighting for equality. When the reality is we should be fighting for freedom, which is what Christ said he's come to give us, right? So with this, we're going to go into some history of revolts of our people who on their holidays decided to stand up and fight for our freedom.
So we fighting for our freedom on their holiday.
Fighting for our freedom on their holiday. Yes, sir. Bus's Rebellion. Bus's Rebellion, 14th through the 16th of April, 1816, was the largest slave revolt in Barbadian history. The rebellion takes its name from the African-born slave Bussa, who led the rebellion, which was defeated by British forces. Buster's Rebellion was the first of 3 large-scale slave rebellions in the British West Indies that shook public faith in slavery in the years leading up to the abolition of slavery in the British Empire and emancipation of former slaves. It was followed by the large-scale rebellion in Demerara in 1823 and by an even larger rebellion in Jamaica in 1831 to 32. Collectively, these are often referred to as the late slave rebellions. So this is our people. They saying, look, we ain't slaves no more.
Benjamin.
Yes, this is, yes, this is Benjamin in Barbados. And they not going to teach this history. So then there's a list here. If anybody wants to go back, you can go into these links and you can see the list of the revolts that we had and the years that they happened.
Hey, why you think they won't teach us this in school?
Why you think, officer?
Why you think, officer? Why won't they
Y'all
teach
asking
us
me?
this? Yeah, I'm asking you.
Because this is the inspiration that we need.
That's this.
right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Excuse me. Let me say that one more time. This is the this is the inspiration that our people need. Because remember, when you read all through Maccabees,
Right.
where did they always refer back to for inspiration?
Right. The revolt.
The
wars.
Of our fathers.
They always they always reverted back to our forefathers.
Right. Right.
So it's the same thing. When we see the history of our people being more than looking for inclusion, because as far back as we really go is, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
Right.
But when you go prior to that, and that's not discounting those brothers by any stretch of the imagination, but what I'm saying is when you go prior to them and, you're able to see our forefathers and how they got down, it wasn't all, we wasn't all just pushovers and whatever.
Nat Turner.
Case. Yeah, you had Nat Turner, and even that, they watered that down.
Exactly.
Right. Well, one of the amazing things is even in our time, I mean, up until the 60s, like ever since the 60s, man, there's been a major fall off. But hey, can y'all pull up the AV? Pull up the statement that that Hoover, was it what was his name? FBI.
I think
J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover. Pull up the statement that he put out where he said that that their battle or their goal was to stop the rising
rise
up
of a Messiah.
Yeah, of a new Messiah. Yeah, put that in. Let's read that. Because what we need to understand, people, is that there was a point in time when we fought for our freedom. Right. There was a point in time when we fought to be able to keep our communities, our women, our dollars, our kids, our education. And we've fallen so far in the last 50 years that we don't even do that.
Man.
Yeah, we don't even do that. We content with just, whatever scraps they give us.
Yeah. Let me read this real quick. So y'all have a reference for what I just mentioned.
Yes,
Go to 1 Maccabees chapter 4.
Okay.
And we're gonna read verse just to kind of get to the point. Read verse 7 through 9.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 7 and verse 9.
Chapter 4, verse 7 through 9.
I'm sorry. The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 7. Read it out. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed.
So we saw the heathens. We saw that they were strong. We saw they had a large military. We saw that they had they were arrayed for the battle. Go ahead.
And compassed round about with horsemen. And these were expert of war.
And they were experts in war. Read.
Then said Judas to the men that were with him, fear ye not their multitude.
So we finna see the exhortation that Judas gave to the men of Israel, to the men of war. Go ahead.
Neither be ye afraid of their assault.
Don't be afraid. Don't be fearful. The Lord didn't give us a spirit of fear.
Right.
Come on.
Remember
It says what?
Remember.
Remember who?
How our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea when Pharaoh pursued them with an army.
You see how we were always comforted through the scriptures?
Right.
We were always comforted with the history of our forefathers and how they got down. That's what I said. They would never teach this. We're working on a project now where we're looking at how they've taken. When I say they, I'm talking about Esau. How they've taken and watered down our hit.
Right.
I'm talking about the basis of our history.
Yeah.
They've completely watered that down. So they never put this out in no public school.
Exactly.
They'll never, no private school, nothing like that.
Yeah.
This is information you have to teach at home.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hey, let's go back to the Buster article because there was more to pull out of that. There was more to pull out of that thing.
So they don't want the rise of the Messiah. You want that J?
Yeah. Let's pull the J because the question was why do we think, right? J. Edgar Hoover. This is a statement by him. Prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement.
You ain't stopping it.
That's right. That's right. Malcolm X might have been such a Messiah. He is the martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age. King could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, nonviolence, and embrace black nationalism. Carmichael has the necessary charisma to be a real threat in this way.
Damn. It was all fear.
All fear.
That's why they won't teach it.
Yes.
Fear.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fear of losing their kingdom.
That's right.
Hey, go to Deuteronomy 28 and 68 real
Yes,
quick
sir.
and read it real fast, real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
I just want to get to the bottom part. Because although all those men, in my eyes, was great men, they fought for their people. They had the love for their people. Just like we do. We got the love for our people, but we going to do this thing with the Most High, with our power.
That's right.
Because God never failed us once we was with him.
That's right.
It's after we left him is when he turned his back on us.
That's right.
Read what you got.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And the word Egypt means bondage. That's all it means. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Thou shalt see our homeland, which is Jerusalem, which is Northeast Africa. That's where we come from. We fled to the West Coast during 70 AD, fleeing the Romans. Read on.
And there,
right here, where we at when we got off those slave ships, read.
Ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
I said your friends.
Your enemies.
Our enemies. Our enemies, the ones that the Maccabees went back to and said, listen, remember our fathers, how we rebelled against them and we fought against our enemies? The same way we doing it right here.
That's right.
But this we gonna tear it down with this Bible. That's how we gonna tear this thing down. Read on.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
For slave men and slave women. Here's the point.
And no man shall buy you.
So Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, the rest of those guys, Stokely Carmichael,
right?
They tried to save us, but they couldn't.
Right.
Why is that? Because there's only one Savior.
That's right.
That's Christ, the black Messiah.
That's right.
He's the one going to save us. So we got to keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments.
That's right.
That's the point. That's the point.
All praises. So this is another one of those people who tried to save us. He tried to save us, right? But it wasn't time. So Buster was born a free man in West Africa of possible Igbo descent and was captured by African slave merchants, sold to the British, and transported to Barbados, where slavery had been legal since 1661.
So Igbos, that's the Israelites.
That's the Israelites. Yeah. Not much is known about him, and there are no records of him prior to this date, since slave owners almost never bothered to keep detailed records about the lives of their slaves who were considered property. All right, keep going up. Keep going up. Revolt, okay. Keep going up. Okay, wait. Battle. Yep, okay. So we're going to go to the second paragraph. It says, Bussa. Hold on. No. Go back up. I missed the point there. Go back up.
Bring it out. Bring it out.
Come on, y'all. Come on. Revolts at the time. Imperial. Go. Damn it, I had this thing lined out. All right. So look, we're not gonna spend a lot of time. Y'all can read this. Let me give you the point on this though. Bussa, instead of him bowing down to the customs of these people, Bussa planned out and formed a slave revolt on Easter Day. On Easter Day,
Damn.
he formed his attack and went out and began to slaughter people on Easter Day. But again, it
All
happened.
praises.
Yeah, okay, there it is right there. Thank you. Among Buster's collaborators were Washington, Franklin, John, and Nanny Grigg, a senior domestic slave, and Jackie on Simmons Plantation, as well as other slaves, drivers, and artisans. Jackie was a Creole driver who was an important figure. The planting was undertaken at a number of sugar estates, including Bailey's Plantation, where it began. By February 1816, Buster was an African driver, one of the few in his position. He and his collaborators decided to start the revolt on 14th of April, Easter Sunday.
That was all planned out.
All planned
All
out.
planned out.
And you know what? They planned that out without social media.
Right.
So that was word of mouth. And
Right.
it got all across the islands.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
And we was all on one accord.
Yeah, all on one accord.
And you know what's special about that, Yaku? Because the Most High want us to do that, but in righteousness. When you go to Zephaniah 2:1,
Right,
the
right.
scriptures tell us you got to get it, but it tells us to gather ourselves together.
That's right.
Right, because now it's not physical no more. Now it's all spiritual.
Exactly.
You know?
Right. There's another important piece. Not only are we gathering ourselves together, but we all got to be of the same mind.
Same
Right, right.
one accord.
And
One accord.
It's funny you say that because you don't know how many times I get comments, when we do requests for TV, radio, stuff like that, where, people want us to come together with the Moors.
Right.
So we can,
Africans.
the Pan-Africans, so we can, make a move. We got to come together with it was some other, Moorish something. That was the most recent. It ain't gonna work.
Right.
When you read Amos 3:8 or Amos 3:10, or maybe 3, it's Amos something, and it says, "How can two walk together unless they
Amos
agree?"
3:3. Let's get it off.
3, okay, 3 and 3.
Yeah.
How can two walk together unless they agree? So that it's not gonna work. All these brothers and sisters, they was on one mind, one accord, and one spirit.
Right. The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
No, the answer is no. You can't you can't walk together unless you agree. Unless you're walking down the same path.
That's right.
The path that we're walking down is applying God's commandments and the faith of His Son.
That's it.
That's
Exactly
yes, sir.
right.
Yes, sir. That's it. So, and what's cool is it says that he became an African driver, one of the few in his position. So, when you read back into the history of our men, he was once a king or a ruler in his country, right? He goes into slavery. Well, he comes over, and remember, Zerubbabel was the same way. Zerubbabel was a man of stature, right? A man of position.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes into captivity, and he ends up as a man of stature.
Under the Persian Medes.
Under the Persian and Medes. The same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, the same thing.
Most High is a genius. He sets it up
Yeah.
beautifully.
Beautifully. All right, let's go to the next story. Let's look at Tacky's. This is another piece of history that's dealing with our people, and again, being on one mind and one accord. Not like today. Tacky's War or Tacky's Rebellion was an uprising of Akan, then referred to as Coromante, which you'll see these people actually in the Bible. They were slaves, and it occurred in Jamaica from May to July 1760. It was the most significant slave rebellion in the Caribbean between 1733 slave insurrection on St. John and the 1791 Haitian Revolution, according to Professor Trevor Bernard. In terms of its shock to the imperial system, only an American revolution surpassed Tacky's War in the 18th century.
In terms of its shock to the imperial system, meaning Esau didn't know what the hell to do. They was like, what is these niggas doing?
Right. I forgot that's our operative word.
Yeah,
now.
that's our operative word
We can't
right
say
there.
niggas, right?
Niggas.
That's our operative word. All right, scroll up. Let's scroll up. Let's see.
So it caught him by surprise, huh?
Caught them by surprise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They didn't know what the hell to do with that.
Right.
Oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
That's right. All right. Scroll up a little bit. Let me see if it's the second paragraph. Well, no. We'll read this one because we want to see where he's from. The leader of the rebellion, Tacky, Akan spelling Taki, was originally from the Fante ethnic group in West Africa. Judah. And had been a paramount chief in Fante land. in the central region of present-day Ghana before being enslaved. So he was a chief in Ghana. He, along with Asante Queen Nani or Nana, both planned to take over Jamaica from the British to be a separate black country, but for themselves, not as allies.
But for themselves and not as allies. They wasn't talking about no, what's the word?
Kumbaya. No. They're holding hands.
Holding hands.
Assimilation.
That's the word I was looking for. Assimilation.
Right.
They said for themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
We taking the island. It's going to be ours. Ours. Freedom.
That's right.
Give we free.
Give we free.
Before being a slave, he was a king of his village. A king. He said, "No, I'm not doing this." He himself recalled selling his rivals of the Ashanti, Nzima and Ashanta, and that was part of the problem. Those were his people.
Right.
Those were his people. All right. Scroll up some. So let's see what happened. Yeah, keep going. Next paragraph. Yeah, here in the rebellion. So in the rebellion, sometime before daybreak on Easter Monday.
Easter Monday.
So
on Easter, it's about to go down.
Yeah.
Right. A rebellion is going down.
On that pagan holiday.
Yes. Easter Monday. Now here's what's crazy. I had never heard of no Easter Monday till I read this. I didn't know what no Easter Monday was.
Yeah, not till you told me just now.
Exactly.
So here's the thing. Go out of this real quick. Let's look at it real quick. Go out of this. We're gonna scroll down to the bottom. Scroll down some. You're gonna see there's a clip for Easter Monday. Keep going right there. That Monday, April 13th, below Yeah, right there. There you go. So for this year, Monday, April the 13th will be Easter Monday in the United States. I had no idea. Easter Monday is the day after Easter Sunday. It is not a federal holiday in the United States. Some Easter traditions continue on the Easter Let me slow down. Some Easter traditions continue on the Easter Monday, such as the egg rolling race at the White House.
I remember seeing Obama do that. I wasn't certain if it was on a Monday or not, but I remember that Easter Sunday egg roll. They made a big deal about that thing.
Yeah, I had never heard of this. I never knew nothing about it. So it shows slowly but surely we went from revolting and being warriors on their holidays to now bowing down to their days and wearing tight pants and crazy colors and stuff.
Wow. I know y'all remember them suits. I can't imagine what kind of suits this guy over here was wearing.
Baby blue pimp stripe, saying my Easter speech, pimping down.
He needs some milk.
He needs some milk.
Remember those days, man. It was terrible.
So sometime before daybreak on Easter Monday, 7th of April, 1760, Tacky and his followers began the revolt and easily took over the Frontier and Trinity plantations while killing their masters.
It says, and easily took over the Frontier and Trinity plantations while killing their masters.
Sheesh.
Why? Because the Most High got a spirit on us, a spirit of war. The scripture, when you read Exodus, when we was coming out of Egypt, he said his armies was coming out.
Right.
I think it's Exodus 12 or something like that. Exodus 12, Exodus 13, one of the two.
Yeah, I think it's Exodus.
It says something in his armies. Why? Because that's in our spirit.
Right.
Exodus 12 is like maybe the last verse, last couple verses.
Commanded. Yep. The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 50. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies.
By their armies. We are a military. We're a nation of kings, priests, warriors, valiant military men.
That's right. That's right. So let's go out of this. Let's go to another one. Let's see. So there was a time when, so basically the title of the show, from Black history to heathenistic, to heathen, Hellenistic, Helladays. There was a time that we fought not to be a part of these people's system. We fought not to partake in this stuff, man.
And it's just the opposite now.
Just the
we
opposite.
Fighting to be like them.
Right. Wholeheartedly. This is the Colfax Massacre. Now, this is not something that you read about in our schools. Scroll up. The Colfax Massacre, or Colfax Riot, as the events are termed, on the 1950 state historic marker, occurred on the Easter Sunday, April 13th, 1873.
Starting to see a pattern.
In Colfax, Louisiana, the seat of Grant Parish, where approximately 150 black men were murdered by white Southerners who formed a militia. 3 white men died in the confrontation, with at least one said to have been shot by his own side. In the wake of the contested 1872 election, so you start to see, we were trying to look for assimilation. So in the wake of the contested 1872 election for the governor of Louisiana and local offices, a group of white Democrats armed with rifles and a small cannon overpowered Republican freedmen. Let's click on freedmen because we want to see why it says Republican freedmen. Yeah. Let's see who these freedmen are. Because remember, during this time, this is, again, it said 1873, so 10 years after Emancipation Proclamation. So we were just fighting to try to, live in America, right? Without the persecution.
Yeah, we here now. We got to live.
Right. So a freed man or a freed woman is a formerly enslaved person who has been released from slavery, usually by legal means.
So they had their papers.
They had their papers, right. What's interesting is it's the opposite of Deuteronomy 28:68, because remember, there we were called bondmen and bondwomen. In this, America has been so slick that they gave us the title freed man and freed woman while still keeping us as slaves.
Damn.
It's crafty.
That's the that's the craftiness of Esau.
Yes. So overpowered Republican freedmen and state militia, also black, occupying the Grant Parish courthouse in Colfax. Most of the freedmen were killed after they surrendered. After they surrendered. What story is this like in the Bible? You remember in the Maccabean period?
On the Sabbath day.
You remember?
Remember that.
On the Sabbath, they went in and they said, we won't fight because it's the Sabbath. And they slaughtered them all.
Slaughters anyway.
Slaughtered us anyway.
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun. Most of the freedmen were killed after they surrendered. Nearly 50 were killed later that night after being held as prisoners for several hours. Estimates of the number of dead have varied, ranging from 62 to 153. These whites died, but 3 whites died, but the number of black victims was difficult to determine because many bodies were thrown into the Red River or removed for burial. There were rumors of mass graves at the site. And we can stop that right there. So it shows that even though they were fighting not for what we know Deuteronomy 17 and 15 told us, right? Not to vote for somebody to put over us as a king that was not of our brethren. They were fighting for what they thought at the time, though, to be a piece of freedom. So there was a time when, in black history, we fought on their holidays.
We fought. So now, speed up the time. Now we celebrated with them.
Willingly. It's not like we're going to shackles and chains.
Right.
It's willingly now.
Willingly fight.
Proverbs 3 and 31.
Yes, sir.
Because the Most High warned us about that.
Yes, he did.
The Most High warned us about everything. It's just that we be rebellious against his word.
Right.
Why would you want to celebrate your enemy's holiday? Why would you want to do that?
Right.
At any chance they get, they'll slaughter us. You just seen it.
Right.
But our forefathers back in the day, they was more wiser than we are now.
Right.
So in order for us to get that wisdom, we have to return back to the scriptures. Read what you got.
Right. The book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31. Read out. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, what's the
birthdays.
envy none of that stuff. He don't want us to do any of that. Don't paint your hair green in a couple of days. You know how they about to do that Irish holiday. Our people think we everything except Israelites.
Right. Run around there like little black leprechauns.
Little black leprechauns, man. Come on, man.
Right.
We shouldn't do that. The Most High told us, envy not our oppressors and choose none of their ways. And that's what he meant.
That's right. That's right.
Let me get a scripture on that.
Yes,
Baruch chapter 3, verse 10. Baruch chapter 3, verse 10. Because Genesis 49, it said, we was a lion's whelp. We was devouring the prey, so on and so forth. Wars, revolts, even going up to, 1950s, 1960s, when we was boycotting, so on and so forth.
Right.
And then this happened. Baruch chapter 3, verse 10.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 3 and verse 10. How it happened. Israel, that thou art...
No. How happeneth it?
How happened it? Israel, that thou art in thy enemy's land.
When we're in our enemy's land, read.
That thou art waxed old in a strange country.
We've waxed old. Now we're old lions.
That's right.
Now we lay down and I'll take the Easter Massa. I'll take the eggs. I'll take the bunnies Massa.
Right.
And we do it willingly. We do it willingly. It says we waxing old in a strange country, read.
That thou art defiled with the dead.
We're defiled with the dead. We're defiled with Esau because they're the dead.
That's right.
We're defiled with dead things.
That's
Easter,
right.
Christmas, birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, so on and so forth. That's being defiled with the dead.
That's right.
You're defiled. You're in a country of dead people that belongs to dead people, and you do dead things.
Wow. That's heavy.
And the bottom part of it says that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave. That's talking about Esau.
That's right.
That's it. That's heavy.
So with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
You are listening to In the Scripts Reloaded.
The champ is here.
Slide through the door, royal guard, sisters got they fringes sliding on the floor. Hey, fellas, throw your trumpets in the sky, let them blow. It get live like a pulse, live, it get live like a pulse. Hey, slide through the door, royal guard, sisters got they fringes sliding on the floor. Hey, fellas, throw your trumpet in the sky, let it blow. It get live, it get live, it get live, it get live, like it live. Like 2 finger checks, I can't keep from moving, we been grooving, use swing and sweat. This is how we do it, just in case you wonder how to see the Jacob turn the party up. Put away the folly from the body on some golly stuff. We know I be time for nothing else. We came up off the ropes. Frequencies and nerves burning in the air. Holy smoke. Whoa. To them niggas taking bribes from the folks. You gon' die. So sit back with Satan hating. While you watch us, we get live like a post. Slide through the door. Royal guard. Sisters got they fringes sliding on the floor. Hey, fellas, throw your trumpets in the sky. Let them blow. It get live like a post. Live, it get live like a post. Ay, sliding through the door, royal guard. Sisters got they fringes sliding on the floor. Ay, fellas, throw your trumpet in the sky, let it blow. It get live, it get live, it get live, it get live like a post.
You can scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road. Purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.
countdown. That's all right.
All right.
Oh, praise. Hey, the Passover right around the corner, right?
It's right around the corner, man.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, it's coming, man. It's rolling up fast.
All praise to the Most High.
And I can't wait, man.
All praises.
All praises. All right, so let's move into the next segment of this thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
The next segment of this. So, continuing with a little bit of history, what a lot of people don't know is there was actually 4 popes of Rome in the early Roman Catholic Church. I never knew that.
In the beginning of the churches, there was black popes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So the African influence on Easter, ancient and modern. Many African Americans will be celebrating the religious holiday of Easter this weekend or coming up soon. It is interesting that many of us only think about the buying of new clothes associated with this spring festival.
You only trying to go to Big T, get your little suit, or go to TJ Maxx or wherever you shop for your suit.
Right.
That's it.
Do me a suit. KNG.
Right.
KNG.
Yeah, right.
KNG, I remember. I used to get my little, my Steve Harvey, you know, because he used to have them big,
the long coat suits.
Yeah, the long coat suits and had the big bell bottom pants.
Right. Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, I never did that. I just,
I just
said
let that hold up, man. Don't do it.
Man.
Hey,
I thought y'all cool was finna get up and dance, but that's why I was saying don't do it. Don't play that.
You're going to live that down now.
Pastor Bullwinkle, man. I don't know. Wasn't that his name?
Right. Pastor Bullwinkle. Conan for the man.
Right. The buying of new clothes for Easter is tantamount to Santa Claus bringing toys to kids for Christmas. It holds no religious significance. 0. It always befuddles me to see that the poorest people are so focused into the economically exploitative rituals and ignorant of actual tradition.
He said broke people are dumb as hell.
Right.
The poorest people.
Major bombs. Right. In my life experiences, I have never heard Caucasians discuss getting new clothes for Easter. Oh, let's see who wrote this. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's funny because it's true.
Let's see who wrote this, man.
He got to be a Jake.
Yeah,
or she got to be a Jake.
Let's see. We got to make sure. Hey, come on, y'all. Hold on. Send Q Brown. Yeah. She know us there. All right. Yeah. She get a pass, man. So, in my life experiences, I have never heard Caucasians discuss getting new clothes for Easter. Maybe this is a black thing. We are a very creative and stylish people, so I would not be surprised to learn that this century-long fad is exclusive to African Americans. So you see how we went from slave revolts and fighting on their day to now we spending the most money to look the best on a day that don't have nothing to do with
that. Has like I said, has no significance.
None. 0.
No religious significance.
But we saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy
Ghost. That's what they say.
Hey, I'm about to get the sheet. Let's get the sheet. Let's get the white sheet.
That's what they say. That's what I heard them say once or twice. I heard them say that once or twice.
There are a lot of black people who will go out and make Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger richer this Easter. Tommy Hilfiger has already recognized that a sizable portion of our community find esteem through his clothing. In a recent interview, and this is older, in a recent interview in Forbes magazine, Hilfiger talked about those type of individuals, he said. Many of these people would rather have a Rolex than a house.
Come on,
check this out. Tommy Hilfiger has already recognized that a sizable portion of our community finds esteem through his clothing. When you read Proverbs 3:31, like you just read, don't envy the oppressor.
Right.
The reason why we envy the oppressor, one, they're the dominant society today, and all of our esteem comes from Esau.
Bring it out.
I would how you consider yourself and look at yourself is all through the lens of Esau.
Exactly.
Your enemy. It's all through the lens of your enemy.
They're the standard, right?
They're the standard. That's what I was looking. Thank you. They are the standard. The standard for beauty has come from Esau.
Wow.
Your esteem has come from Esau. The reason why you got black women that are cutting the baby girls' hair, real hair, it's because they don't esteem it at all.
Right, exactly. Right.
Don't esteem it at all. Excuse me.
Right.
Let me shut up.
They rather put that.
No, you getting
No, you was on. He was on. The champ is here
because your voice coming back. See?
Yeah, his voice coming back. But he gonna bring it out anyhow.
Right. So, in a recent interview in Forbes magazine, Hilfiger talked about those type of individuals. He said, many of these people would rather have a Rolex than a house. Unfortunately, he's telling the truth. I don't want to appear to be a party pooper, so let me move from the contemporary role of black people and Easter and look at the ancient role of black people and Easter.
So he said, let me stop today. Let's go back in time.
Yeah.
And it's the same roles. Black people in Easter, black people in Easter.
Right. Many of us are not aware of the reform and modifications that Easter had to go under before it became what we know it as now. This is due to the influence of an African pope named Victor I. In the history of the Catholic Church, there have been 4 black popes. 3 were pure Africans, and 1 was mixed of African and European parents. This, of course, would classify him as black according to the hypodescendant laws we observe and his genetic phenotype, which, they like to talk about that. Look, man, if your daddy white, you white. If your daddy black, you black.
Right. How simple is that? That seems pretty simple, right?
That's pretty simple, man. That's it. Right. The names of these 4 popes are Victor I, Melchites, Gelasius I, and Adrian. Melchites is the most famous for bringing Christianity to its final triumph against the Roman Empire. However, let us turn our attention to Victor I. Now, there's some history you'll never hear. It brought Christianity to its final triumph against the Roman Empire. And that's going into the history of the difference between the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire, right? Yeah. Victor ascended to the papal chair in 189 AD. During this time, the date of Easter continued to be a matter of controversy. Many of the Christians of Rome, which was us, many of the Christians of Rome who had come from the province of Asia were accustomed to observe Easter on the 14th day of the moon.
The 14th day of the moon.
Wow.
Come on now, dog.
Who was that?
Come on now.
That was the day on which the Jews had been commanded to kill the lamb.
Damn.
Man, I wonder what day was that?
Wow.
That's heavy.
That sounds like Passover.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Sound like Passover.
But they said he was African.
Right.
They said he was black for certain, right?
Yeah. Because remember what she said above.
Yeah.
She said we're talking about black people in Easter.
Right.
Black people in Easter.
Right.
And now she's saying many of the Christians of Rome, or the Israelites of Rome, who had come from the province of Asia, were accustomed to observe Easter on the 14th day of the moon.
At
14 days after the first new moon, or the first of the year.
Right.
Let me get that for you, sir. I see where you're going. We're going to go to the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and we will go to verse number. I can't remember all the days, y'all. I can't remember all the days. Somebody in the audience give it to me real quick. Chapter 12, verse number.
You want a 17 or
the
you want
14th
15?
day. Yeah.
14th day?
You want
verse 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. Verse number, the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even.
That's why it says the 14th day of the month at even is the 15th day. So it says, many of the Christians of Rome who had come from the province of Asia were accustomed to observe Easter on the 14th day of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
That was the day on which the Jews had been commanded to kill the lamb.
Right.
Where can you read about that? In Exodus, the 12th chapter.
Yeah.
18th.
And I'm going to read verse number 6. And ye shall keep it. And I'll start at verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month.
Until the 14th day of the same month.
That's
the 14th
right.
day after the first new moon, or what
That's
the world
right.
terms the full moon.
Right.
The Bible calls it the new moon.
And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Of Israel, or the Christians of Rome,
Rome.
the Israelites,
That's
the Jews.
Bible a true book, ain't it?
Bible is a true book.
True book.
Say when they say the Christians of Rome, let's go to Acts 18. Because a lot of people believe when you think of Rome, you always think of Europeans.
Yeah, that's the first thought to come to mind.
First thoughts. You never think about our people being in Rome. But go to Acts 18 and let's start at verse 1.
The book of Acts, chapter 18 and verse 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth and found a certain Jew named Aquila.
Now Paul, so now you got Jews in Athens and Corinth. So when Paul was talking to the Corinthians, he was talking to black Jews in Corinth.
Right. That's right. And found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy,
Rome,
with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome.
So you had Israelites, Jews in Rome. That's it.
Sheesh.
Yep.
That's right. So let's go out of this. So anybody that says that all of this is a lie, that the guys standing out there raising their voices on the corner from the Bible are lying, none of this is facts, it's lined up in the history.
That's right. That's right. You know what's good though, Yakub? All praise to the Most High for Bishop and for bringing all this stuff, awareness to who the Israelites are, so we can be up here today to edify people. Because a lot of our people wouldn't get this history if it wasn't for the guys in purple to bring this thing out.
Absolutely. But the reason why, two things. One, black people don't read. We're not looking for history. We're looking for what's
Sports.
today. We want the sports. We want
entertainment, TMZ.
entertainment, stuff like that. And a lot of that is an escape from hell, an escape from captivity. It's a little piece of
a getaway.
Getaway or whatever the case is, right?
Right.
To escape the fact that you're in hell. You are in captivity. Number two, if they do say, okay, Dad, we are the Israelites, you know that there's accountability that comes with that claim. That's why a lot of people won't say, they might believe, okay, if the Jews are black based on the history, but to say that, okay, I'm an Israelite, I got to keep the commandments, that's a whole nother level of accountability and responsibility that black people don't want. So they don't mind saying, yeah, the Jews is black, but then it'll be some, oh yeah, but then all of a sudden they became African Americans in 1619, and then after the trans, then they became Moors, and then come on, man.
Yeah. Come on, anything but to keep the laws of God. Any excuse.
Yep, that's right.
Any excuse not to keep God's laws.
So that was the day on which the Jews had been commanded to kill the lamb. It was viewed as necessary to finish the feast on that day, whatever day of the week it might be. Instead of recognizing Good Friday as the day of the Lord's death, the Asiatic Christians kept the Jewish feast on the 14th day after the new moon.
After the new moon, after what the world terms the full moon.
That's right.
God calls it a new moon.
With which the month of Nisan began. Victor I found it disturbing to have one set of Christians observing the fast of Lent and commemorating Christ's passion, while other Christians were joyously celebrating the Feast of Resurrection. Victor was determined to put a stop to this and to bring about unity and observance of the Easter festival.
This sounds like democracy to me.
Right.
This sounds like some melting pot stuff coming on. And some people gonna get sucked up and lose their way.
Right.
Read on.
Right. With that, with that in view, he set about persuading the Asiatic Christians, who, by the way, were called Quartodecimans, to join in the general practice of the church. Victor ordered Polycrates to hold a council of Asiatic bishops and get them to follow the Western custom. So this is very similar to what you saw Jason doing. This is what you saw. What are some of the other high priests in Maccabees?
You had Jason. You had I can't think of his name because during the time of Nicanor, during the time I can't think of his name, it escapes me right now. I'll go back to it and get it.
But this during the time of Maccabees, you had brothers that were doing the exact same thing, who were selling us down the river. You know what I mean? For the sake of a few dollars, man. Selling us down the river for the sake of a few dollars, just to bring peace. You know what they call peace to the nation. So
alchemists. That was
alchemists. That's it. Yeah. So it was a beautiful thing, you know. But he did know that our people were supposed to come together in unity. He at least had that much understanding. And he did understand that we were keeping the feast, the 14th day, sundown, kill the lamb, da-da-da. So him not understanding that it was, you know, being called Passover as opposed to Easter, or Pascal as opposed to Easter, you know.
So this is the Black Pope.
Yes, this is the Black Pope Victor I. So this is the point. Jeremiah said that we would discontinue from our heritage.
Jeremiah 14:2. Let's get it.
Yeah, Jeremiah 14:2.
17. What I said, 14:2.
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah 17.
Yeah, Jeremiah 17:2. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 2. Verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine eyes, which shall burn forever.
So we kindled a fire in the Most High, because we decided to assimilate with the other nations.
No, Lord
we started
Jesus
to go
is a
after the
fire.
other gods. Esther, Diana, those other gods.
Yeah.
Easter, started doing what they wanted us to do and not keeping the Passover.
Which, and it's funny that you mentioned all of those names are sub-names for the goddess Ishtar that we spoke about at the beginning of the show.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Acts 19, Diana.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go out of this. Let's go out of this to the next story. So let's see what some of our forefathers were still doing even while they were here in slavery. Because remember, we still had the revolts, right? And we slowly began to trickle down and to assimilate and accept it. But remember, God said that he always had a remnant of his people.
That's right.
He always had a remnant, right?
You're looking at them right now.
Yes, sir.
All praise to the Most High.
So watch this. The secret religion of the slaves. They often risked floggings to worship God. So that's a picture there, depiction. All right, let's go ahead. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christian, nor were all those who accepted Christianity members of a church. But the doctrine, symbols, and vision of life preached by Christianity were familiar to most. The religion of the slaves was both visible and invisible, formally organized and spontaneously adapted. Regular Sunday worship in the local church was paralleled by illicit or at least informal prayer meetings on weeknights in the slaves' cabins. Preachers licensed by the church and hired by the master were supplemented by slave preachers licensed only by the Spirit.
And you know what's heavy about that? So it said licensed, licensed by the church and hired by the master.
Right.
So with that being the case, he running the whole show. So you gonna preach what he wants you to preach.
Right.
That's what's going on, huh?
Yeah. Right.
That's probably still going on right now.
Definitely.
It 100% is still going on. It's just bigger. It's more money, bigger houses, nicer cars, bigger churches, everything else.
Right. It was, man, I forgot who I was having this conversation with, but it was about the black churches that Christianity has a Christian bank, and this bank is set up to fund the building of these mega churches. So you have to go to them. They give you the loan, and then these mega churches, pull up. But they let's say that something happens with that pastor. Like right now, you'll read stories of pastors who they fell off.
Right.
The congregation is falling. They can't keep the church. Well, the way that you know that they put the people in place that they want in place is because let's say that we saw the building,
right,
went and said, we want to buy this building.
Talking about the Israelites, us, the guys in purple.
Yes, they would never give us a loan for that building because their church holds the title and all of the info for that building. So we would never be able to rent it out.
Yep.
We'd never be able to rent it out.
Okay.
So I thought that was real interesting. Real interesting.
So that's how they network.
Yes.
That's how they keep us out the loop.
Right.
But that's why it's important to gather ourselves together
Yes.
so we can put our resources together.
Absolutely.
So we can support the booster club, support your local school, pay alms. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That way we can be in a nice building.
That's right.
You know, so we ain't got to go to our enemies.
That's
The
right.
Most High gonna supply everything we need. Go ahead on.
Texts from the Bible, which most slaves could not read, were explicated by verses from the spirituals. Slaves forbidden by masters to attend church or, in some cases, even to pray, risked floggings to attend secret gatherings to worship God. His own experience of the invisible institution was recalled by former slave Wash Wilson. Now, I'm going to try to put on my slave voice if I can. I
Do your
never
thing,
did
bro.
this.
Do your thing.
Well, you danced last week,
it's
so
in
you
you.
ain't,
Yeah, I'm
you
going to
ain't
try.
far. Come on.
Yeah. When the niggas go around singing, "Still Away to Jesus," that means they're going to be a religious meeting that night. The masters didn't like them religious meetings, so us naturally slips off at night, down in the bottoms or somewhere. Sometimes us sing and pray all night.
That was pretty good, bro. That was pretty good.
I get moving.
Yeah, he must have been a thespian in high school or something, man.
Hold on.
He's kind of nice with that thing, man. He one of those straw hats or something.
Masters preaching, real preaching. So they had a comparison. Masters preaching, real preaching. Slaves frequently were moved to hold their own religious meetings out of the disgust for the vitiated gospel preached by their masters' preachers. They never tell this in history.
No. Slaves frequently were moved to hold their own religious meetings out of disgust for the vitiated, not sure what that means. Let's look that up.
Yeah, let's look that up.
Vitiated gospel preached by their masters' preachers.
I hope it's strong because it sounds strong. Vitiated?
Vitiated or
Sounds
vitiate.
vitiated.
Vitate. What? Vitate. E-A-T-E, I think. Yeah, V-I-T-I.
Yeah.
A-T-E. Let's go, A-V.
V-I-T-I.
It's a word in there we ain't familiar with, and that's not just brush over.
Right.
The hell
Yeah, that's not a typical Negro word like Bishop.
No,
said.
just take out the D.
Vitiate.
All right, vitiate. To make faulty or defective. To debase in moral or aesthetic status. To make ineffective. The hell is this?
Wow.
Keep going down. To make faulty or defective.
Wow.
Let's go down to the synonyms. Synonyms. Poison.
Wow.
Spoil, stain, taint, tarnish, touch, blemish.
Wow.
All right. I saw you flipping. You got something?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Well, I got
The book of Esther, chapter 14 and verse 15. And I'll start at verse 14. The book of Esther, chapter 15 and verse 14. But deliver us with thine hand, and help me. Help me that am desolate, and which have no other helper but thee. Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous. Our queen Esther, our sister Esther, who was a queen in the Persian and Mede captivity, said that she hated the unrighteous and abhorred the bed of the uncircumcised and of all the heathen.
She hated that thing.
Hated it. This word vitiated just said exactly what she said.
Let me get one while we rolling. Let
Yes,
me get
sir.
one. Give me Colossians 2 and 8. Because one of the synonyms was spoiled, right?
Spoiled.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
spoiled, tainted.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Colossians 2 and 8.
The book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8. Beware, lest any man spoil you.
So beware if that false preacher come with that false doctrine. Beware that thing. That's what the Most High was saying. Read on.
Through philosophy and vain deceit.
Because that's somebody's philosophy. That's not after the Bible. That's philosophy.
That's read. After the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
So our people were disgusted at that thing. They knew that wasn't after Christ.
It says, out of disgust, for we just got to pause right here. It says slaves frequently were moved to hold their own religious meetings out of disgust for the vitiated, I hope I'm even saying it right, vitiated gospel or poison or the tainted gospel or go back, let me see the other synonyms.
Bring it out.
Tainted gospel, poisonous gospel. Come on, where's the definition?
Come on, man.
Oh,
tainted.
God.
It's
I'll
spoiled.
get my own sound bite.
Go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, because I didn't even say drop the definition. All right. 38.
Which word? I mean, which verse?
No. Go back to, thank you.
Blemish.
It said blemished gospel, darkened gospel, marred, poisoned gospel, spoiled, stained, tainted, tarnished, touch, I don't know, tarnished gospel that came from our enemies. Who brought us over here on slave ships? Who put us in shackles and chains? Esau, the so-called white man. Deuteronomy chapter 32, read verse 32 and 33.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32
and 32.
And 32. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom.
There it's talking about the other nations, mainly Esau. It says their vine is of the vine of Sodom. What do we have here in America today?
Sodom.
Come on now. Come on.
And of the fields of Gomorrah.
So it's comparing this vine to Sodom and Gomorrah, homosexuality. Come on.
And their grapes are grapes of gall, and their clusters are bitter.
Their clusters are bitter. What is it talking about? The grapes, the grapes of gall, their clusters are bitter. Read.
Their vine is the poison.
No, it didn't say their vine.
Oh, their wine. I'm sorry. Their wine is the poison of dragons.
Their wine is the poison of dragons. Now, it's going into the doctrines when you read Micah 4 and 11. But hold that. Psalms chapter 58. Psalms chapter 58. Let's see what that poisonous wine is.
Jeez.
Psalms chapter 58. Read verse 3 and verse 4.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 58 and verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb.
The wicked is going into Esau, the so-called white man. Go ahead.
They go astray as soon as they be born. Speaking lies.
Speaking what?
Speaking lies.
Speaking lies, right?
Yes, sir.
Speaking lies. Read.
Their poison.
Stop. What is their poison? It's going into their lies. The wine that we just read in Deuteronomy 32. Read.
Their poison is like the poison of a serpent.
So what they teach, when they try to take our Bible and try to teach it to us, God said that's poisonous. It's poison. It's all lies. That's what God is saying in Deuteronomy 32 and Psalms 58.
Sheesh.
The wicked teaches you lies, teaches you poison.
Right.
A tainted, tarnished, stained, spoiled gospel. At one time, we was disgusted by that.
Right.
Exactly.
Today, we run to that crap. We run to the poison. We run to the tainted, tarnished gospel. Why? Because there's no accountability for that with that gospel.
Right.
There's no responsibility with that gospel. You can do whatever the hell you want with impunity.
Right. That's
Bring it out.
Okay, that's it.
Let me turkey back off of that. Hey, officer, give me Deuteronomy 33 and 29. 33
and 29?
Yeah. Because at least our forefathers now, and we're talking, this is during the time of slavery here in America. But they knew that what they were being taught from that book, even though they could not read and write well, they knew it was lies.
That's how you know the Most High was dealing with us even at that time.
That's how.
Even at that time.
Sheesh.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 29. Happy art thou, O Israel. Who is like unto thee, O people, saved by the Lord?
Because salvation is only for the Jews. Salvation is for the Jews, for Israel, all 12 tribes. Read.
the shield of thy help.
God is the shield of our help. Read.
And who is the sword of thy excellency. And thy enemies.
These people who send us false preachers, our master's preacher, read.
Shall be found liars unto thee.
Shall be found what?
Liars
unto thee. With their poison. They would be found liars. Oh, praises.
So you can't tell me the Bible ain't a true book.
Nobody can say that. Book. Bible's a true book. Let's go to the next one, man. Let's go to the next story.
All praises, all praises. That's heavy, man. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Man, because our people is steady caught up in this stuff. And a lot of our people going to get dressed for Easter Sunday, too. They're going to be ready for that thing.
Right.
And not even think about Passover.
No. No. My people does not consider.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Don't even consider. Go up.
So all praise to the Most High God for IUIC and those brothers out there on the corner for bringing this thing out. Because a lot of brothers, a lot of people, they'll listen to see the videos, and then they start watching the videos and they start to learn. It becomes intriguing to them because they realize that, hold up, this is my history.
Right.
This Bible actually belongs to me. I'm an Israelite, and we're happy about this thing.
Yeah.
We're happy about it. And our zeal got to stay on 100, just like Bishop's zeal.
Right.
Bishop been in this truth for a minute, and his zeal still on 100.
Still teach Deuteronomy 28 like he just heard it a week ago.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man. Now, so we just went through all of this history, right? And we showed how even one of our forefathers who was going off, Victor the First, he still knew, though, to keep Passover. He was calling it Easter, but he knew to keep Passover, right?
Right.
And remember, it said that he was upset about them doing Lent. Let's look at these people today, man. How some black Protestant churches do and do not observe Lent. Our forefathers used to fight against Lent. Now they gladly doing it. Christians around the world will begin observing Lent on March 6th and continue to do so for 46 days under April 21st, one of the most important periods on the Christian calendar. Lent is meant to prepare observers for the celebration of Jesus' resurrection at Easter. From giving up, from giving up pleasures such as technology and junk food to fasting for that time. So they saying they fasting for 40 days and 40 nights.
The hell is this?
This is what they doing. So Lent, so that all of y'all who don't know, this is what they're saying they're doing for those 40 days of Lent. They saying that they are fasting. But that ain't no fast.
I remember we used to do that in my church. It wasn't Lent. We wasn't doing Lent. But it was just talk about the fast.
You was doing Lent?
Huh?
You had that
No, bring it out.
Let me. No. Oh, no.
He needs some milk.
No, we didn't do Lent. I'm just talking about the fasting part.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to fast for okay, you can choose your fast. You do like a Coke fast.
Right.
You do a TV fast. You do a gummy bear fast where you won't eat certain foods, watch TV or whatever. That's that tainted poison gospel. Because where do you read that in the Bible?
TV fast.
Right.
There's nowhere you can read in the Bible where a fast was fasting from a pleasure like TV.
Right.
The hell is this?
Or going on a water fast.
Right.
Meat,
Water
meat
fast. Yeah, beef fast.
That's a diet, man. That's what that is.
Yeah, I remember going on a fast where you could only eat and drink between 5 to 8 or 5 to 9 or something.
Yep.
So yeah, it was crazy. But they always run it during the same time as Lent. So I never realized that it was in association, to Lent that we were giving it up or whatever. We just didn't put the ashes on. We were so-called black people. We wouldn't walk around with no ashes. We ain't doing that, man.
Some of our people real dark. You probably couldn't see the ashes anyway.
You wouldn't see my ash, bro. Yeah, I heard it, brother. They ain't taking.
Christ bless.
All right. So from giving up pleasures such as technology and junk food to fasting for their time. Some exclude this. Some exclude the 6 Sundays. Many Christians use the time to reflect on their religion. Salem Lutheran Church in Pike Township observes Lent with the scripture reading every Sunday. Wait, with scripture readings. So what are they reading every other Sunday?
Right.
They observe Lent with scripture readings every Sunday that follow biblical themes, including Jesus' raising of Lazarus from the dead and Jesus' entrance into Jerusalem.
You know it ain't the Bible if they celebrate Lent. So I don't know what the hell they reading every other day.
I don't know what they're reading. It helps us to focus on Christ, his death, and his subsequent resurrection. Caper said, Lent is something that prepares us for the foundations of the Christian faith.
You know what I'm thinking about that? Because I'm reflecting back. To be honest with you, you know, outside of like Easter, Christmas, I think that's really it. There was very few scriptures that was brought out, you know, where you may get, you know, hell, more than 10 verses in a whole sermon. Those were literally that I can think of. Those are almost the only 2 days that I can think of where the Bible was somewhat read. Now I know every church, whatever, even though the understanding is not there whatsoever, but I'm like, and I done been to a myriad of churches in times past, and they wasn't reading no Bible. It was pastor up there, do your little dance again.
Don't do it, bro.
You see, I
ain't gonna do it easy. Come on now, dog.
That's all pastor was doing, man.
Yeah.
That's it. They wasn't reading no Bible.
And to be honest, officer, they wasn't keeping a fast either. They wasn't keeping a fast. You know what I mean? Go to Jonah. Go to Jonah. Go to Jonah 4 and verse 5. I mean 3 and 5.
Yeah, I got
Let's see what a fast really is.
Yeah, let's go bring
because they're not reading the scriptures in church, doing they pagan holidays, and they're not teaching the people how to keep fast.
Right.
That's why we got to go to the Bible. In the scripts, Jonah 3 and 5.
The book of Jonah, chapter 3 and verse 5. So the people of Nineveh believed God and proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them even to the least of them.
Now, they put on sackcloth because that was a tradition that we did when they was in mourning. We don't do that no more. We don't.
For word came unto the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne and laid his robe from him and covered him with sackcloth and sat in ashes.
Now watch this.
And he caused it to be proclaimed and published through Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock, taste anything.
That means that when you fast, your mouth don't supposed to touch nothing.
That's right. Let them not feed nor drink water, but let man and beast be covered with sackcloth and cry mightily unto God.
That's it. So a fast is when you don't supposed to touch anything. Yes. You don't supposed to drink water, eat nothing. Your mouth shouldn't touch anything.
Right.
And the reason why people did sackcloth to put on ash at the time, it just was a tradition.
Yes.
Nothing had to do with anything scriptural.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just a tradition. That was it.
What's funny, man, that you bringing this out, this shows that when our forefathers were having those secret slave meetings, for what they said was the true, the true preaching or the real preaching. Remember, they called that other doctrine from the master's preacher poison.
Right? That's right.
Where they was taking the scriptures and they like, look, that don't sound like what this is saying right here.
Right.
So that's how they took it and perverted and got ashes for 40 days leading up to when they said that here, this fast wasn't, like you said, it wasn't from technology. It wasn't from not eating candy bars for 40 days.
Right.
They understood a fast meant a fast. Don't touch, nothing passes your lips.
Exactly.
But the poison of the false gospel is to tell you to put some ashes on your darn forehead and the cross of the mark of a cross.
Wow.
And for 40 days, put down your video game.
And walk around.
Even though you don't find that nowhere in the Bible.
Nowhere in the Bible.
That's poison.
I used to wonder where that stuff came from, man.
Yeah.
That was
Hey,
the
give
silliest
me
thing.
give me Ezekiel. Ezekiel 8. Ezekiel chapter 8, I think verse 13. Let me look at it. Ezekiel 8 and 13.
On Ezekiel 8?
Yeah.
You want 13?
Let me make sure. 13. Yeah, it says Tammuz, great abundant these.
14?
14, there it is.
You want Tammuz?
Yes, sir.
We
Start at
for
13.
Tammuz?
Uh-huh.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 8, and verse, you want me to start at 13?
Uh-huh.
Verse 13. He said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see great abominations that they do.
So what was happening is Ezekiel was taken up and he was being shown a vision of the temple and different abominations and atrocities that were happening within the temple, right? Read.
Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north.
Read.
And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz.
There sat women weeping for Tammuz. This is the idea and the beginning of Lent. This is the idea and the beginning of Lent. Lent is something that rolls out of the Babylonian mysteries, out of Talmudic rituals that were picked up during our time in Babylon.
In Babylon.
Yes.
And we started doing it. It's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun. Yes, sir. Let's go to the next story. Nothing new under the sun. Man, we got to bring this one out. I hate to even do it, but we got to.
Bring it out. Bring it out. Bring it out.
Your boy Kanye, man.
Kanye West.
Kanye West, last year for Easter, was invited to a big musical event that they do called Coachella.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know that he held Easter service at Coachella?
The hell is this?
Last
Kanye.
year.
Kanye.
Now, remember, Easter service is supposed to be about the worship of God. The worship, the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ.
Right. So they say, yeah.
So they say. He's at Coachella holding.
Ain't Coachella some big music festival?
With
concert?
Riotous.
Yeah.
Yes. That's Coachella.
All types of fornication.
Yes.
Beyonce in there half naked.
Yes.
And every other chick there. What the hell was that?
Right. Oh yeah, that would sound like a chicken.
Wow.
And you got all kind of Satan worshipers in that bad boy.
Right.
You talking about he had Sunday service out there, huh?
Yeah. But he holding Sunday service.
Probably
Praise
smell
the
like
Lord.
marijuana all through the crowd.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Praise the Lord. With the heathens all amongst the congregation.
Right.
Yeah, all types of reveling and riding and all that stuff.
Amazing stuff, man. Scroll down or scroll up or down. Up. Look at him. Look at him.
Look at your boy.
Look at your boy.
Oh,
He's something else, man. This is amazing.
man.
Now this picture fake, but it's funny.
Wow.
Lord have mercy.
They got him like that.
This is the poison that our forefathers in them secret quarters was talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
This is the poison right here, man.
But there's always money surrounding him.
Right.
You know how much money he getting paid? Because one of the cats, what's the pastor that took over?
What took over Eddie
Baltimore? Yeah.
Jamal
Bryant.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
Jamal Brown.
Jamal
Yeah,
Bryant.
Yeah.
And he paid Kanye a hell of a lot of money to come out there. What's the other cat in Houston?
Joel
Osteen.
Yeah. That Viper is basting him.
There you go.
Right.
Make your
And
teeth
T.I. was complaining on his podcast, this was a couple months back, because he was saying that, when he came and, they kept they was asking for money every every 15 minutes or something. I forget exactly what he
and
said.
the look on T.I.'s face, right?
Right.
When they kept asking for large sums of money.
Yeah.
They seen him in the front.
Yeah, bro. I was like, oh man, damn. He pulling all the cats. It's not like it ain't known.
Right.
It ain't like nobody know the Christian church is all about money.
Right.
But when you got somebody like that, that's like, who has a voice like that. It's one thing we say it, don't nobody give a damn.
Right.
But when you got T.I. saying it, it's like, damn, he got a million ears. It's like, oh shoot.
Yeah. But it's crazy because people are really starting to praise Kanye's Sunday service. Like if you watch the growth behind it, if Kanye West was to come out right now and say that he's going to do an Easter Sunday service somewhere,
Right.
and he was going to allow him to get in free, which I might have read something crazy like that, man.
Oh, okay.
But if he was doing a Sunday service, man, do you know people would break their necks to get to where he is to be a part of that Sunday service under Kanye?
Bruh. Because a lot of our people make flesh their arm. That's what they do.
Right.
That's what they do.
Well, they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the truth.
No,
Right? I'm gonna read something, and I'm gonna let you bring this out, officer. because this is what they don't want to deal with. The book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse number 9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things.
That's what they want to hear from Kanye West. They want to hear smooth things. They don't want to be critiqued. They don't want to be rebuked by the Israelites.
That's what I just said. We said they don't give a damn. What's up, dude? T.I.
Right.
T.I. said he'll say it and they'll listen, but behind our message is always, y'all got to get the hell out of the church, repent, and keep God's commandments.
That's
Under
right.
T.I., it's like, yo, they taking my money, but whatever. He's not. There's no rebuke. There's no chastisement. There's none of that.
Right. Prophesy unto us smooth things.
So they can keep getting that money. Because if you prophesy them that women should wear dresses, you know what I mean?
Right.
And men should have beards and stay away from that chicken and that catfish and that pork.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ain't like, I'm gonna find me a new church, get my money to somebody else.
Right.
So to keep that money, they let it go on and go on. They never teach you about the commandments. It's done away with.
Yep.
That's it.
Prophesy deceits.
Yes,
sir.
deceit. Anything that goes against the commandments.
Anything.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go out of this. Let's go to we're gonna go on to the next story. I'm not even gonna touch the rest.
You ain't gonna fool with Kanye too much.
Nah, man, not today, sir. No. Okay. So remember, the whole point of this was to show how we went from Black History, right? Black History Month to celebrating the heathen Hellenistic
Customs.
Yeah, customs.
Pagan holidays.
And so one of the most disturbing trends that we see today is not only are they not teaching the laws of God in the churches, but most schools today don't even uphold Black history teachings no more. So the kids don't even get to hear about the little bit, of their history that is near and dear to us here in America now. That would somewhat, raise the conscience of children to go and look and say somebody looks like me can do something great.
Right.
Black history is U.S. history, but some of my students don't want to hear it. History class should be the last place where we stop talking about race. Go up. Yeah. It happened. It's happened ever since I began teaching as a graduate student in 1991. Most semesters in which I have taught a course related to U.S. history, the complaint appears at least once on my students' concourse evaluations, too much time on race. Whether at the University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon, Duquesne, George Washington, or University of Maryland, University College, the refrain from this small but vocal minority has been the same, and a few students have gone further than just registering their complaints. In two of my upper courses on U.S. history since 1945, which covers the civil rights movement, white flight, and non-conservative movement, I got the typical handful of complaints in my evaluations that I spent too much time on race.
We don't want to hear. They wasn't making them complaints when they was in middle school and high school, hearing about
George Washington.
George Washington, white history.
Right.
Now they talk about Black history, and all of a sudden they too much time on race.
Right. Alexander the Greek freak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These supposed to be upper level. It said upper level students.
Right.
Two of my upper level courses
Yeah.
on U.S. history since 1945, which covers the civil rights movement, white flight, neoconservative movement. Got the typical. The professor got the typical. That means it ain't just no one-time event where you had a couple of students complain.
Right.
It's like, we don't want to hear about no nig history.
Right.
They said we spent too much time on race.
Right.
Y'all spend too much time talking about Black people.
Yep. But two of those students also wrote that UMUC should fire me for it. This isn't unusual for me and many male and female faculty of color.
They trying to get all the Black teachers out of the school because we don't want to hear no Black history.
Yep. A small but persistent minority of my students seem to want the U.S. history a certain way. The story of Europeans escaping political persecution and religious oppression for the pristine wilderness of the New World. of people building the greatest nation that has dominated the world with its military, its capitalism, and its brand of democracy.
We want to hear about how our forefathers took all the niggas down, took the Native American brothers and sisters down. That's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear no black history.
Right.
And nowhere in here does she say that any of the students of color stood up and said, hey, we praise you for teaching about race. We want to know. Thank you for teaching this to us so that we know something. She ain't get those letters.
Because I'm sure if she did, we would see that. But no.
Right. It's not only possible to teach a U.S. history course like this, it's normal. In many schools, teaching American history often means ignoring racism. A recent Southern Poverty Law Center report shows that few K-12 teachers have the textbooks, understanding, and comfort with the material necessary to teach about slavery.
It's few K-12 teachers have the textbooks, understanding, and comfort. You mean to tell me in 2020, you do not have the wherewithal, you don't have Google, you ain't got YouTube, you don't got a library to go to, even if it's, let's say, okay, it's not in the textbook. You mean to tell me all these other resources? I know your ass. I know you're behind. Know how to. You know how to look up everything else. But you can't look up Black history. Come on.
It's the information age. Come on.
Stop. Information is too readily available. You don't want to know about Black history. You don't want to teach slavery. Talking about you ain't equipped. It says this also explains the lack of classroom time spent on the history of Native Americans. Although the civil rights movement is a standard in most U.S. history classes, Reconstruction and Black migration aren't.
The hell is this?
Black migration? What is that?
The diaspora.
Oh, okay. Now it's Black migration.
Under the guise of Black migration.
Yeah, under the guise. Oh, wait. Go back up. Go back up. Because she touched something that she probably doesn't even know. This also explains the lack of classroom time spent on the history of Native Americans.
How about the Israelites?
The Israelites.
Oh, okay.
Because if there's any mention of that in a public school, there has to be. You're gonna find maybe one or two teachers that are gonna apologize. That means they're taking accountability for what the hell they did to the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in America. They're not finna do that.
Exactly.
So as opposed, don't even give them an opportunity to slip up. Just take it out.
Right.
Just keep them ignorant to all understanding of Native American history, all Black history. Just keep them ignorant of it.
The hell is this?
Just take it out.
Go to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Let's bring this out because we got to go to them for everything, even the education. If they complain about it, take it out.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
So even your education, even your books, even the curriculum that our kids learning these days, at the bottom it says the Reconstruction and Black migration. Come on, man. That's slavery. That's Deuteronomy 28. So we got to go to them for everything. Why? Because we broke God's laws. So what do we got to do? We got to turn back to God because we ain't winning when we do it like this.
That's right.
Keep reading.
And in one of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And it's actual pictures of you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans with yokes of iron on your neck. When you Google yokes of iron, guess who turns up? People with kinky hair just like mine, just like yours. We are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of.
Until he have destroyed.
And we destroyed. Why? Because we're not celebrating Passover. We're celebrating Easter. You understand?
That's right.
The Bible's a true book. That's it, officer.
Hey, we also destroyed, and I'm trying to reiterate this. We're also destroyed, as this curse says, because our forefathers used to fight them on their feast days. Our forefathers were adamant about not keeping their customs. Today, you've got a group of students who are able to sit in a classroom setting with a teacher that looks like them, and get some history about their people, and they won't even rise up and say, look, we thank you for teaching about our people. We thank you for teaching about the accomplishments that we had in this country to keep our esteem built up. That's how destroyed we are.
And there may have been a few, that may have, risen up.
Yeah, it might.
But if there was, if it's one complaint from an Edomite,
right,
talking about we don't want to hear that history, every black, Hispanic, and Native American student in the school, I ain't talking about just the classroom, in the school should have rose up and said, who the hell you think you talking to?
That's right. That's right.
We done had to put up with your stuff for the last, from kindy all the way up to 12th grade.
Right.
Give us a semester.
Right.
That's all we asking for is a freaking semester. Thank you, Jonathan. That's all we asking for.
Sheesh. Amazing.
Every brother and sister, his black, Hispanic, and Native American in the school should have had a freaking uprising if it was one damn complaint.
That's
if it was one.
That's right. In numbers. All right, so we're going to go into the new segment the captain brought in called the Ostrich of the Week.
Ostrich
of the week. Let's go out. Let's get that.
Do we got it?
Let's go out and get that. Let's pull up that ostrich.
Ostrich of the week.
Ostrich of the week. Officer Shema, you gonna do this ostrich of the week?
I do it. I do it. Why not? Why not? Why
All
not?
right.
Hey, officer, your voice came through when you warmed up, bro.
Hey, you got warm.
Champ, bro.
Yeah.
The champ is here.
That's right.
Let's bring it out.
Let's bring it out.
This week, ostrich. I know you probably seen his sister. She needs to repent.
This is an ostrich.
But this is definitely an ostrich.
Yeah.
Let's show that clip. Roll this clip.
And I can't believe the type. The ostrich. That's what this is.
Oh Lord. What was it? She got mad at her so-called baby's father, baby's daddy.
Yeah. So
and go ahead, y'all.
The setup for it is this is a sister who is upset. She has a baby daddy. Right? He didn't marry her. Oh, pause it. He didn't marry her. So him being a father, to the best of his ability, has his daughter, and with his baby girl, he's supposed to do what? Take care of her.
Right on.
So he's got his baby girl, her hair isn't done, so a good father does what? Goes and get her hair done. The mama is so wicked, so evil, so much of a damn ostrich.
Roll it.
Does this.
Crying.
I don't care. I told you stop playing with
This motherfucker cut my baby hair out of here.
So did.
Look at that shit. That shit sad. Hurt my baby feeling.
Now wait.
But you don't hurt the dad. You hurt her feelings. You hurt my baby feelings. My baby sat there for 2 hours.
I do my own girl hair.
My baby sat there for 2 hours.
Stop playing with me. Go.
Oh, hell no. Oh, broke ice cream machine, no mayo, add pickles.
And with that, she get the ostrich of the week for that. Bring that up. Bring that ostrich up.
Bring that ostrich up.
Put her right next to it for that thing there, man. Come on, we got to do better. Man, we got to do better.
Yeah.
She gets the ostrich of the week.
That's the African-American woman in America today. So with that, all praises to the Most High. I want that sound next week, too. I know it's a sound.
Yeah, it's a sound. It's a sound.
I want that sound. But all praises to the Most High. Make sure y'all continue to give to the Booster Club, IUIC.fundraiser, IsraelUnite.org. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, IUIC Dallas.
That's right.
Give me something else.
Go to InTheScripts.
In the scripts. Follow us on YouTube.
Yep.
You can purchase clothing, fringes, Bibles, Apocrypha, so on and so forth at originalroyalty.com.
That's right.
All praise to the Most High, another show in the books.
That's right.
So all praise to the Most High, Israel. Lord's will, y'all, got some learning, and some history to go back, and so you can study up and read up on the different histories, Abasa, so on and so forth. All right. So with that, y'all are tuned in to In the Scripts Reloaded. We say shalom.
You are listening to In the Scripts Reloaded.
fulfill my purpose to shake the whole earth with a boom when I hit the surface. They trembling nervous. They know I'm coming for certain to murder all these niggas, devour all of these serpents. I patiently waited to turn up with fervent heat. Now that I'm activated, I'ma blow 'cause it's World War III. I hear you weeping, you're mourning, your nationality. Hiroshima and Nagasaki ain't got nothing on me. I was raised by chemists. I was made for the judgment. Don't be testing my limits. Don't be pushing my buttons. In the Bible, they call me flame and rebuke. And you know that that's the truth. But my homies call me nuke. I was sent here to destroy pleasures of sin. In the day of darkness, even darker than when the day began. Annihilation, no time for evacuations. When these warheads split, it look worse than decapitations. Repented dies, it's genocide or it's genocide. You can't hide if you get left when the saints rise. The wicked looking in the sky, and all they can do is cry, and they already know why, 'cause it's judged.
Gave up sin and started living righteous. It's who I am, I knew I couldn't fight this. When Christ come back, there's gonna be some mourning. You never know, this song could be your final warning. Judgment day, judgment day. When they crack the sky, judgment day, judgment day. Repent or die, judgment day. They only God can judge me, but trust me, you don't wanna see judgment day. And there'll be no more crying now, so stop all your whining now. The time for change is right now. Repent or die, or judgment.
I'm my best on the worst day. How you know? Because I know that's what the words say. Heathen steady serving doctrines like a feast day.